Good evening, everyone. Our mayor is en route. He has been representing us in the U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C., and he is going to be here shortly, but we're going to go ahead and get started with our meeting and then our swearing in.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor Pro Tem, we will at this time call the roll, and then we will have an invocation. Reverend McDowell, will you do us the honors? After a roll call, yes, sir.
Good evening. Mr. Rickenmann?
Here.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Present.
Ms. Devine?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mayor Benjamin?
Let us bow our heads. Creator God, for all that you've done for us, for the opportunity to move about in this city of ours, we simply say thank you for the rich and manifold blessings you've bestowed upon us. We gather in this chamber tonight to do the work of this city of ours, and in particular, to swear in those persons who have been elected to serve and to give of their time, talents, gifts, and service for this city. Touch them and yet sensitize them. Allow them to sense and to feel the wonderment of your presence. Be with our mayor as he sojourns from a distant place to this chamber. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen.
What are we doing? Who's in charge?
Good evening, everyone. So we are going to start this beautiful occasion with our swearing-in ceremony this evening. And I would ask that the Honorable Judge Christy Goldberg, I think there she is, comes forward and begins the swearing-in process. Judge Goldberg?
You want us to stand down? Who's first?
All right, first we'll have Councilman Sam Davis.
I know that.
Stand right there, face me. Ma'am, you'll stand right here between us. All right, sir, repeat after me. As a council member of the municipality of the City of Columbia,
As a council member of the municipality of Columbia,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
and skill, exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
and I will use my best endeavors
and I will use my best endeavors
to preserve the peace
to preserve the peace
and carry into
and
effect,
carry into effect
according to the law and purposes for which I've been elected.
and carry into law for the purpose that I've been elected.
I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been elected,
to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been elected,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my
to
ability,
the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution
and preserve and protect and defend
the
the
Constitution
Constitution
of this state and of the United States.
of this state and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right.
Amen.
You are duly sworn.
Thank you. Quickly, very quickly. Thank you. And I'm hoping that I'm going to live up to and carry out the mandates of the people who cast their votes this past time. And I have been telling everybody, I hear you, because I did get an earful. And that's good, because that means that you are to listen to the people who vote for you, represent you, and have expectations of you. And so I'm also pleased, happy, and proud to be a part of this full council. I think we have some caring, talented, and ambitious people who honestly care about this city and are committed to carrying it forward, and that's where I'm at also. So I hope that this is going to be a good term, and I'll do my best, and I'm sure that where I stumble and falter, I'll hear from you. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Councilwoman Tameika Isaac Devine. Girls? All right, raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me, please. As council member of the municipality of the City of Columbia,
As council member for the municipality of the City of Columbia,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
and I will use my best endeavors to preserve peace
and I will use my best endeavors to preserve peace
and to carry into effect, according to the law, the purpose for which I have been elected.
according to the law, to the purpose to which I've been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I'm duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of the office to which I've been elected,
to exercise the duties of the office to which I've been elected,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and the United States.
and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. You are duly sworn.
Y'all know I'm the speaker of the bunch, but I promise I'm going to make it short tonight. I want to thank you all so much for being here for the swearing in of mayor and members of city council. It is not lost on any of us the honor it is to represent this great city. I have to say that when Howard and Ed were elected and we were talking about the campaign, and I said something about not being on the ballot, my mini-me, my oldest, said, Mommy, you're not running again? And I said, well, no, baby, this is not my term. But I said, would you be disappointed? And she said, I like you being a city council person. And I had to ask why. And she said, because I like the way you help people. And so I have to think about, that is why we do what we do, is to help people. And that really hit home to me, that that's why we're all here. Whether you're elected, appointed, or employed by the City of Columbia, we're here to help people. And I just am honored to be able to serve another term to help the citizens of Columbia, the visitors that come to our great city, and everyone who interacts with us. So thank you so much for being here. I thank the city manager and our staff, because we couldn't do what we do without them. And then I thank my family, because I know that I spend a lot of time away from them, but to know that they don't mind because mommy is helping people makes it all worthwhile. Thank you so much, and good evening.
and Councilman Daniel J. Rickenmann. All right, left hand, yep, right hand. Repeat after me. As council member of the municipality of the City of Columbia,
As council member of the municipality of Columbia, South Carolina,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially,
to the best of my ability and skill,
to the best of my ability and skill,
exercise the trust reposed in me,
exercise the trust reposed in me.
and I will use my best endeavors
I will use my best endeavors
to preserve the peace
to preserve the peace,
and carry into effect,
to carry into effect,
according to law,
according to law,
the purposes for which I have been elected.
for the purposes of which I've been elected.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified,
that I am duly qualified,
according to the Constitution of this state,
according to the Constitution of this state,
to exercise the duties of office which I have been elected,
to exercise the duties of the office I've been elected,
and that I will,
that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof,
discharge the duties thereof,
and preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of this state and of the United
for
States.
the Constitution of this state and the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You're duly sworn.
Thank you. I'm going to be real brief. I want to thank my wife, and my daughters are out tonight. One just went back to college, and the other one is at a basketball game, so they couldn't be here tonight. But I want to thank everybody for coming out, and let's get to work.
So yes, we do have one more swearing in to do this evening, and as soon as Mayor Benjamin gets here, we will make sure his swearing in occurs too, because I see his mama and daddy sitting in the audience, and I think his mother-in-law and father-in-law as well, so we know that will happen this evening. We will probably move forward, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, with the agenda as outlined. Well, we'll make some adjustments, but I do want to take the opportunity, I'd be remiss if I didn't, to say how happy I am to continue to work with all three of you who have been sworn in again. And thank you for all you do for us and all of council. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
And I would guess I'd just say that those folks who have come for the swearing in and don't want to stay to a meeting, the mayor will be here shortly. We'll get his swearing in, so we will rush through what we have and be able to start when he gets here.
At this time, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I would ask for council to adopt the agenda as outlined for this evening's portion of the meeting.
I think we had a couple changes, Mr. Duvall?
Madam Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to move, to get unanimous consent to move item 25 to the next item on the agenda.
Yes. Is any objections? Okay, we will move item 25.
Is that an
So where?
item that Mayor Benjamin wanted to be present for?
Well,
So where?
yes, but I think
roll call,
he doesn't have any objection to us moving it. Yeah, all we're going to do is refer it to a committee, and I don't believe he had any objection to that. Daniel, I don't.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
So it's been properly moved and seconded to, I'm sorry?
Several times.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to refer an ordinance to address the extended hours permit for commercial establishments to the Public Safety Committee as requested by the Honorable Howard Duvall. Any discussion?
At this point, I wanted you all to just make your adjustments
Oh, just
on
for the agenda.
And then we'll come back to that item, because I want to get your formal roll call in, and Miss Erica Moore is making sure we do it in the right order, so.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing was, and I guess this could be under consideration of matters discussed during the work session, but we had an item regarding the appointment of an acting chief judge, and we need to vote on that.
At this point, if you all could adopt your agenda, Madam Mayor Pro Tem.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda with the amendments? It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk would read the roll.
Mr. Rickenmann. Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
If you would like to do a pledge of allegiance, I know you've got lots of young
We
folks
have
here
lots
this
of
evening.
young
so-
ones. Can we get the Benjamin and the Devine ladies, and then I think, was Mr. Wakila still here? Is the little Mr. Wakila?
Not
Jack,
you.
can you guys come and help and lead us in the pledge? Thank you, ladies.
I would ask at this time for any public input related to the agenda items as outlined.
And I do see that we've got several here who've signed up about item 25. Just so you guys know, what we are planning to do is to refer it to a committee. I'm not sure if anyone wanted to speak on that, but that's all. Okay. All righty. You are... Okay, can you come to the... And do y'all want to take people when we refer to the committee? Yeah. Okay. I know, do you want to take the people who turn up the speech when we refer to a committee instead of holding that? Okay, yes, ma'am.
My name is Katarina Berry. I'm a resident of Columbia, South Carolina. I'm a small business owner in this community. I consider myself a millennial entrepreneur. I work a lot with technology. My clients are international, and most of what I do is I create content, so I work remotely. Now, during the day, I'm able to use local coffee shops, our beautiful public Richland Library for my meetings and my work. But during the night, we don't currently have any venues available that operate past 2 a.m., so I've been able to find local late-night bars as a perfect working environment for myself, and like entrepreneurs like myself, in my age group and older, who use the functioning tables, the electricity plugs, the free Wi-Fi in the local bars, which is a perfect place to work, especially when you don't work regular hours and when you have clients abroad. I've been able to have meetings there in physical, in person, to conduct calls, international calls, to be able to focus and concentrate. And this is the environment where I feel comfortable. Not to mention my favorite would be Bar None in 5 Points. They serve food until 4 a.m. in the morning. Another convenience that is hard to find in other places. And I emailed yesterday to Mr. Duval, and he responded, for which I'm very grateful. Now, in his response, he asked that I participate in the upcoming meetings of the committee, and however, his comment was that the input is needed to help regulate the bad ones and without harming the good ones. I personally do not think that business entities could be considered bad or good, because it creates this kind of disparity in the fairness of consideration to the businesses. I think better public safety regulations are in order, but I would like to strongly speak against a curfew that will limit the commercial freedoms of the local businesses and severely affect the conveniences of local residents like myself, who currently do not have any alternative public places that serve food, offer Wi-Fi, and provide the environment suitable for meetings past 2 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't want to limit folks who want to speak, and I know Tom is there. Anyone who wants to speak on this item, certainly, because it's on our agenda, has a right to do so, but I will tell you, we are referring it to a committee, and the committee will take testimony, and then I know that the discussion, Mr. Rickenmann, correct me if I'm wrong, as chairman of the committee, was going to be, regardless of what the committee's recommendation would be, once it came back to council, there would be a public hearing and an opportunity for people to speak in depth about it before we vote. So we're not going to be voting on this item tonight other than to refer it to the committee for further discussion. So, Tom, do you just want to go ahead?
Good evening, Mayor Tem and Mayor Pro Tem and members of City Council. I will only speak briefly. I am Tom Gottschall. I've lived at 1824 Senate Street since 1976 with my wife, and I raised my 3 daughters there as well. I was part of the group that organized the University Hill neighborhood. I can't remember exactly what year that was anymore, but I've served on that executive council since that time. I'm presently serving a second term as president of our neighborhood council. And it is in that capacity as president as well as resident that I'm speaking to you. We're delighted that you have referred this to committee. Our neighborhood executive council, I want you to make sure you understand this, last evening passed a resolution asking for the expeditious adoption of the ordinance that would repeal the permission for bars to remain open after 2 a.m. And I brought copies along. I will leave that with the city manager in case you hadn't seen that on the email. We need your help on this matter. Frankly, 5 Points needs adult supervision. It needs adult supervision. It has gotten out of control. Not so many years ago, it was a different place. Hiller Hardware was there, Dodds was there, Gibson's was there, Harper's was there. They're gone. The bars have overwhelmed 5 Points. There are something like 21 bars that are licensed to serve drinks after 2 a.m. in the city of Columbia. About 17 or 18 of them are all clustered in 5 Points. We all know that this conglomeration fosters antisocial behavior. You can read this in the literature. This is a problem for the neighborhoods, and there are lots of neighborhoods that surround 5 Points. There's a permit system that on $50 payment permits these bars with very little else showing to stay open until 4. But this creates a lot of problems. Late night noise, mayhem, antisocial behavior, vomiting on the sidewalks, public urination, all sorts of things that are not very nice. We're really just tired of that, and we want this chaos to end. So we would ask that you pull back these hours. The University of South Carolina stands with us on this. They want the hours pulled back as well. So again, we hope this process that you have now entered into will yield some common sense. And remember, we've come to you as adults because adult supervision is indeed necessary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. And the lady who spoke, before you leave, make sure we get your address. We'll make sure that everyone who might not be speaking gets notice when the committee meets and you can come. Kit, did you say? Well, let me just go down the list. So, April, you're next.
Thank you, and thank you for hearing us. I will condense my comments. My name is April Lucas. I live at 911 Lawrence Street, University Hills neighborhood, which is adjacent to 5 Points. And I've spoken to lots of folks in our neighborhood and in other neighborhoods surrounding 5 Points. There is widespread support for repeal of these extended hour permits. We consider it to be a matter of health and safety, as well as quality of life for our neighbors. Thank you.
Ms. Blundy, did you still want to speak? Okay. Dick Harpootlian?
I'm going to be very brief. I live in the Wales Gardens neighborhood of Columbia. I've lived there since 1975, however many years that is. And I was president of the Shandon Neighborhood Council in 1979 when we were having difficulties with a number of issues in the neighborhood in 5 Points. And I got to tell you, I can remember many meetings with Mayor Finley, and he helped us deal with a number of different issues affecting the quality of life in our community. I'd hoped never to have to come back and do this again. But our neighborhoods, whether it's Wales Gardens, Shandon, University, Martin Luther King, all these neighborhoods are under assault. For some of it because just the size of the population from the university that drinks, many of whom should not be drinking, but drinks, has quadrupled in the last 20 years. The size of the university has. Now remember this, 80% of the kids at USC can't drink legally, okay? Also remember, USC reported just last year over 200 kids were taken to the hospital for alcohol poisoning, and 90% of them came out of 5 Points. So, and you know, I was with law enforcement. I was a solicitor here for 12 years. I remember when we were having a death per year at 5 Points at St. Patrick's Day. Every year, some kid would get killed, run over by a car, run into a telephone pole. And what the city did at that point, and 5 Points Merchants Association did, was they decided they weren't going to just let everybody sell alcohol. Remember? They went to an armband, and they controlled the distribution of alcohol. And it's resulted in a much safer St. Patrick's Day. So what I'm asking you to do is this. I just got back from Baton Rouge yesterday. LSU is there. They don't serve alcohol after 1 o'clock. No SEC school serves alcohol later than 1 o'clock, any school town. There are places they serve alcohol after 1 o'clock. They're rare. So all I say to you is, and by the way, Greenville County has just introduced an ordinance to do away with the same ordinance you have. They want to roll it back. So, and by the way, my mama told me not much happens after midnight.
That's good.
That's good. And I can tell you, if you ride through 5 Points after midnight on every night, you'll see a lot of not good going on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mike Drennan?
Hi, good evening. I don't know that I have much to add to what the others have said, but I'm from Shandon, and I can tell you in Shandon we have Carolina fans, Clemson fans, but we don't have any fans of these extended hours, and it's impacted our neighborhood. I have 2 9-year-old daughters, and we live within shouting distance of 5 Points, and we can hear them on Thursdays and Fridays and Saturday nights as they come and go from the bar. So we would appreciate your consideration. The other thing I wanted to say is that in District 3, we don't have a representative on the City Council right now. I know the at-large members are doing their best, but for those of you who were not your constituents, I would appreciate some extra consideration for us as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. All right. Well, as indicated before, is there anybody else who wanted to speak on this item on the agenda, knowing that you have plenty of time to speak to the committee and at the public hearing? Okay. Seeing none, if you do want to be notified when the hearing is, or when the committee meets, because you don't have a date yet, do you, Mr. Rickenmann? You do? What's the date? February 6th at 10 a.m. February 6th at 10 a.m. Second floor conference room here at City Hall will be the public safety meeting where they will discuss this issue. Okay, thank you. Madam City Manager?
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I would ask for council to approve the consent agenda items 9 through 19.
Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move. Second.
Okay, It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk would read the roll.
Mr. Rickenmann. Mr. McDowell. Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mr. David.
Okay. Are we holding 8
Madam-
till the mayor? Or
I'm sorry?
are we holding 8 till the mayor gets here, or are we can move forward? You just,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. We can take up, if you prefer, Ms. Devine, the additional item to appoint an acting chief judge.
Okay. All right, is there a motion regarding appointing of an acting chief judge while Judge Turner is on leave?
So moved. Second.
Gonna say who?
We need to read.
The appointment of Judge Steedley Bogan. Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Rickenmann, seconded by Mr. McDowell. If the
Mr. Rickenmann.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Ms. Devine, I'm going to, for the formality of the record, read into the record, council is asked to refer an ordinance to address the extended hours permit for commercial establishments to the Public Safety Committee as requested by the Honorable Howard Duvall. You all discussed it. You did not take a vote.
all righty, so it's
Is
been
that
moved and
gonna be a
seconded.
motion?
It was moved and seconded already. I think we just went into discussion and they hadn't voted.
It
No,
was.
ma'am. You need to,
So
you
we
need to do
vote
all
on
of
it.
it.
It's already been moved. It's already been moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like,
You want to say something on it?
yes.
Okay, Mr. Duval?
Chairman Rickenmann made a suggestion when we were discussing that as part of this motion, we stipulate that any new permits be brought to the city council for action rather than automatically issued by the business license department. So I'd like to make that as part of my motion to refer this to the Public Safety Committee.
And just to clarify the motion is to bring the ordinance forward, to have the discussion. We haven't adopted your ordinance because none of us have that, what's being, so I just want to clarify that.
I have given the ordinance to the clerk.
Are you making the motion, Mr.?
Howard, let me ask you this. You've made that as an attachment or an addendum to the motion that was already passed?
Yes.
All right. If that's the case, then Daniel,
I think it didn't pass, though. Erica is saying we didn't vote on it. We discussed it, but we didn't vote on
I
it.
thought we did.
It was at the time when you were adopting the agenda, so we took it as that was the motion to amend the agenda to move the item up.
So you need
we're
a
just
new
asking
motion.
for a new
We'll
motion,
move the
yes,
previous
sir.
question then,
Right.
Madam Chair.
Okay.
And if I may, if
Yes.
you all, just
Legal.
1 second.
Yeah, we're getting a legal advice.
I mean, that's
Clarity
the
on that.
administrative process, so we just want to make sure that bringing it before the council to vote on, or bring it before the council so that we bring it to you for information. I don't know that
Information
that's a-
purposes, we can't vote on it.
Yeah, that's not a part of the
We
process.
can't vote on it, but it needs to come to us before arbitrarily, and part of it is so that it's a fair, open process as we're having a discussion.
Or before any amendments or addendums are made.
Absolutely, because the permits only go through June 28th.
I think Teresa's saying.
Yes. So as part of the current administrative process, then we will bring them forward for your information only.
Correct.
Before issuing?
Yes.
Before issuing.
Similar as we do with the sidewalk.
Let's see, the sidewalk we actually vote on.
Yeah, all we're doing is information only.
With no direction.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so for the clerk, we need a new motion, make it clear on what the motion is, and then we'll go back and get a second.
Well, I would move that we refer the ordinance to remove the extended hour permit provisions of our ordinance, send it to the Public Safety Committee, and that any new applicants be brought to the City Council for information prior to issue.
Oh, let me.
I would have a subsequent motion to that.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Davis. Okay, Mr. Davis hold on, Mr. Davis.
Well, I think we would be enacting a portion of the intent by doing that before we have full discussion in committee. We would be requiring that applications come to us for a yea or nay.
No. We can't do that.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do that.
No, it's just for information purpose only. Prior to issue, so that we know. Part of one of the asks originally was to put a moratorium, which we can't do, and we're not going to do. A subsequent motion really would come down to the fact that we're going to have a discussion about the current ordinance.
Right.
I'm not willing to vote for a repeal of an ordinance at this stage, because we're not there yet. We haven't even brought it to committee. This is for discussion only. I can't adopt the ordinance that's being presented by Councilman Duvall.
Well,
I'm sorry.
My point is then, that's where I think I need some clarity. If we require notice to us that an application has been filed, that's kind of tweaking the existing ordinance.
But that's not what
Not
you're
really.
asking for February 6th, are you?
No.
Absolutely. The intent of, if I understand, the intent of what's to take place February the 6th is for informational purposes only. Is that correct? Anything beyond that constitutes, in my estimation, a separate motion, not one attached to the conversational piece.
Procedurally.
I'm not exactly sure what Councilman McDowell is saying there, but why don't we clean it up and just do a referral?
Yeah, I was going to say, why don't we just separate that? So can you restate your motion, Mr. Duvall?
Okay, I'll restate my motion, and I am referring to the Public Safety Committee an ordinance, a proposed ordinance that would eliminate the extended hour permits.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Ms. Wilson?
I think your motion, Councilman, needs to read the way it did on the agenda. It doesn't read to eliminate it. It says to address it, just for the sake of clarity, because we don't know what's going to come out of your committee at this point. I don't want you to bind yourself to reading it as an ordinance that's eliminating it. I don't know if you're going to put conditions on it. I don't know if you're just going to change the time. I think you just need to read it as it is.
Instead of eliminating, you say to address?
Yes, sir.
I would accept that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so it's been moved, and Mr. Davis, did you second?
I will.
It's been moved and seconded.
Yes.
Ms. Moore, are we clear on all that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Use the words on the agenda.
If the clerk would read the roll.
Mr. Rickenmann.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell. Mr. Duvall.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're clear. A discussion on the 2 a.m. ordinance has been referred to the Public Safety Committee, and they will meet on February 6th
10 a.m.
at 10 a.m., second floor conference room. Okay? All right. Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
City Light.
At this time, we will move into a period of presentations. The first and only this evening is a City Lights employee recognition by myself. And at this time, I would like to share a story about one of our employees. City Light Jesse Bussey, and I would ask Jesse and his family members, and I believe the victim in this case who he assisted, to please come forward. I think they're all here. On Sunday, October 1st, 2017, during the 4th annual 9/11 Silent Walk across the Ravenel Bridge, a Columbia firefighter saved the life of his friend, colleague, and mentor. Columbia firefighter Jesse Bussey and Assistant Chief Greg Bailey of the Couchton Fire and Rescue were among hundreds of firefighters who were participating in the annual walk honor the victims of 9/11. The pair had crossed the Ravenel Bridge from downtown Charleston to Mount Pleasant and had stopped to rest and have a snack before heading back. As Jesse and Greg prepared to make their way back to Charleston, Greg suffered a major heart attack. Jesse, observing the symptoms, began performing CPR. Jesse, along with firefighters from other departments, performed CPR for 17 minutes before an ambulance arrived. Jesse's training and quick response is being credited with saving Greg's life. We are grateful for Jesse saving Greg's life, but we are just as grateful to Greg for taking Jesse under his wing more than 10 years ago and introducing him to the career of firefighting, which resulted in Jesse joining our staff in September 2016 and graduating from recruit school in January 2017. Jesse continues to serve as a volunteer firefighter of the Couchton Fire and Rescue, and now we have a news clip from WIS.
Are we done? Are we done?
When Greg Bailey and his wife celebrate Thanksgiving, they'll give thanks for more than just food and family.
I'll be thinking that I have my husband with me. I'll be so grateful that we're together again.
I'm walking and talking, and I'm above dirt.
It truly is a day for me to give thanks.
Rewind to October 1st on the Ravenel Bridge. Dozens of firefighters crossed it to remember 9/11. Bailey was one of them. He's a paramedic and assistant chief at a volunteer department in Aiken County.
The last thing I remember is getting off work 2 days before.
During the walk, Bailey got dizzy and he passed out. He was having a massive heart attack.
I was at the right place at the right time.
Because by his side was Jesse Bussey, a fellow volunteer at Bailey's department and a full-time Columbia firefighter. You could say Bailey is Bussey's mentor. At that point, his mentor was passed out in front of him, turning purple and dying.
And having to render aid yourself to somebody, let alone somebody that you work closely with, is crazy.
But that's what he did. By all accounts, he and other heroes saved Bailey's life.
Well, about a week ago, I finally got to talk to him. And all I could say and get out of my mouth was thank you.
He's my hero. He's my hero. He didn't have to. I mean, he could have, said, hey, I don't want to get involved.
Instead, after a month of MUSC, Bailey's back home and more thankful than ever.
Being a paramedic at the hundreds of cardiac arrests I've worked, and there's a handful of saves, and I'm just a miracle.
Your service. Thank you for your relationship, your mentoring him. We certainly appreciate his daily service to us. This is just a small little token. Spend it on someone special or yourself. And this is your recognition, Jesse, as the city manager's recognition as a city light for exhibiting excellence and dedication beyond the call of duty. Thank you.
gotta swear you.
One of my colleagues, I won't say which one,
He's illegal.
one of my colleagues reminded me that everything was going so well here, so to not screw it up is what I was asked to do. I did. I want to thank you all for being patient with me. I had to be in Washington, D.C. today to provide some pretty important testimony in defense of what I call our 457 plans. There's, in the private sector, they call it 401ks, and in the public sector, it's the plans that we use to make sure our city employees, our firefighters, our everyday heroes are able to retire, ready for retirement. And so I needed to be there and got here as fast as I could. And Madam City Manager, I know you're waiting for me, but I've been getting constant text messages from a few people over here who where are you, Daddy? Daddy's here.
Yes, sir.
All right.
At this time, we will have the swearing-in ceremony for the Honorable Mayor Stephen K. Benjamin, and we would ask his beautiful bride, Judge DeAndre Benjamin, to come forward for the swearing-in and his family.
Take all this. Now you gotta take all this from the boss.
Bobby and Bevan, why don't you join us too, please? Would you join us as well? Both of you, please.
Right there. Right there.
Where's the Bible? All right. Why don't you come so people can see you? Come on, sir. Be seen too. All right. You want them to do it? Okay. Go for it. Yes, ma'am.
All right, ready? Raise your right hand. All right. As mayor
As mayor
of the municipality of the City of Columbia,
of the municipality of the city of Columbia,
I will equally, fairly, and impartially, to the best of my ability and skill, exercise the trust reposed in me, and I will use my best endeavors to preserve the peace and carry into effect, according to the law, the purposes for which I have been elected. I do solemnly swear that I am duly qualified, according to the Constitution of this state, to exercise the duties of the office to which I have been elected, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge the duties thereof, and preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of this state and of the United States. So help me God. Thank you. All right.
I will save inaugural comments for the State of the City speech later this month. I will say that obviously the people up here who join me are the most incredible family that God could have ever blessed me with. But it has been my life's honor and pleasure to serve as mayor of this city. We are one Columbia. We're doing great things together. And indeed, I believe we've only just begun. God bless you and keep you. Thank you so much.
Huh? Yeah. Let him do wrong. You won't cut that.
Eric and I have gotten quite adept at the juggling, moving
You guys
the
are good.
pieces. The musical chairs, yes ma'am.
And Mom, I didn't get any sugar, but I'll get some later. I didn't get a kiss, but I'll get some later. Not you, Bobby. My mom. I'm talking Mom. And I love you, Mom and Dad, and the entire Gitz family. Thank you for your incredible support. Girls, I know you have homework to do. Go home and do your homework. I'll see you later tonight, okay? All right, bye-bye.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. We're on item 20? Where are we?
congratulations, Mayor Benjamin.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. 21, where
We are actually, Mr. Mayor, needing to take up the appointment section for Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay. Thank you. We're back to item
Number 8 on the
8. Item number 8.
Yes, sir,
Thank you.
number 8.
All right, we'll open up the floor for nominations. I'd love to exercise a point of privilege and make the first nomination. Nominate the appointment of Councilwoman Tameika Isaac Devine as Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll move to the previous question. The clerk will call a roll on the appointment or election of Tameika Isaac Devine as Mayor Pro Tempore of the City of Columbia. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rickenmann?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Tameika. So well.
Yes, ma'am.
Good and green. Okay, go ahead.
And now, Mr. Mayor, we are moving into a period of ordinances first reading. Item 21, ordinance number 2017-115, amending the 1998 Code of Ordinances of the City of Columbia, South Carolina, Chapter 21, Stormwater Management and Sedimentation Control, Article 3, Flood Damage Prevention, Division 1, generally Section 21-127, basis for establishing areas of special flood hazard.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Rickenmann?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Item 22, ordinance number 2018-002, amending ordinance 2016-036 to adopt the budget for the City of Columbia, South Carolina for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Rickenmann?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Other matters, item 23, council is asked to approve the installation of one temporary speed hump on Airport Boulevard in the Rosewood neighborhood as requested by the Public Works
So
Department.
moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, move the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Rickenmann?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
And Mayor Benjamin, because I know how much you would love and would be remiss if you didn't take part with me in celebrating Fire Chief Aubrey Jenkins' birthday today. As we asked Ms. Belton to come forward for appointments, I did want us all to wish him a very happy birthday.
He wasn't paying any
Yeah,
attention.
you know what's going on there. Happy birthday, Chief.
Happy birthday, Chief. We're not going to sing for you. Don't even think about it now. No check. So.
It's not payday.
He already gets a check. What does he talk about?
Happy birthday, brother.
Happy birthday, Chief.
Hope you have many, many more.
Exactly. Appointments, Ms. Belton. Council is asked to approve the appointment of 2 individuals to the Climate Protection Action Committee.
For this particular committee, Mayor Benjamin, you have one appointment, and the other appointment has to come out of District 3.
Out of what? District
The mayor
Mayor,
and District 3.
Sir.
I'd like to nominate Sarah Raka.
Okay. Is there another nomination? The,
It's yours.
Yours.
Is the other mine?
Yes, sir.
I thought I nominated Sarah, actually.
All right, well,
yeah.
you nominate her, then I work on the other one.
Yeah. I think Sarah, make sure my staff's in the room.
That's a
she was-
District 3.
Yeah, well,
You can do whoever you want, but that,
How do we look in terms of balance on the committee right now, geographic representation?
District 4 has no representatives or no application.
And no applications.
Currently.
Would you like to seek out an applicant,
yeah, find
Daniel?
somebody.
Okay,
Well,
so.
I'd have open, so y'all can go ahead.
Oh, you do have an
Yes, sir.
opening? Okay. Is it-
one's District 3 and one's yours.
So
I was just
so-
doing the District 3 one.
Again, geography, do we have those numbers in front of us?
None from District 4.
None from
The
4,
other
is that,
districts
are
balanced.
pretty balanced? Okay.
We can open it up, and Councilman Rickenmann, if you have someone that is interested, send the application.
That's, actually, Deb Sterling's pretty talented too, if I remember correctly. You guys want to move forward with Sterling and Rajka?
Yeah.
Okay. Put Sarah in the mayor slot and Deb Sterling in the District 3 slot, as long as there's geographic representation. We'll get another person from District 4. We'll do that later. Y'all okay with that? Did you have some other thoughts? Would you, unless you had, Ms. Brazington, did you have some thoughts?
Maybe not Mr. Brazington, but I'm also looking for some kind of distribution.
Your distribution always is like this, though, with District 1.
I think there's only one from District 1. Am I correct? We can revisit this. I want to hold it up.
Yeah, there's only one from District.
Yes, only one. That's okay. We'll revisit this. I don't know.
Yeah. I asked Sarah to apply, so she's going to be my mayoral appointment, and I think that leaves Deb as the only, Ms. Sterling as the only District 3. Yeah, so prospectively, let's just make sure we have geographic representation. So let's move the nomination of Ms. Rajka and Ms. Sterling. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk call the roll.
Mr. Rickenmann.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. For the,
Mayor Benjamin, we are a little bit, adjusting as we go tonight, and I did
Appreciate
want
that.
to, yes, sir, want to recognize our newest OBO director again this evening. She's here with us again tonight. We recognized her during the work session, Miss Melissa Lindler. Melissa, if you would stand to be recognized.
Melissa. Devine.
Mr. Mayor, I also wanted to just thank staff, city manager and staff, particularly Assistant City Manager Clint Shealy. He has been working nonstop, and all of the Public Works and Water Sewer staff since last week. I think today I saw on the news where we have, over 100 water main breaks because of the weather, but I would email, text, call Clint this weekend as citizens called me, as I'm sure y'all were getting lots of calls from folks, and he was always on it. And so I just thank you, because I think most people don't realize what our staff goes through, especially during weather events. And when, those of us were getting off early or staying in, they were out there working, making sure that people had water, and I just thank them. I think they've done a great job, and will continue to do with over 100 water main breaks. I know they'll be working for many days to get all that fixed.
Amen. Amen.
Certainly appreciate that.
Mr. Davis.
Now, it just so happens that I'm looking at a text I received today based on a call from yesterday, I believe. But it's a testament to Ms. Devine's comments and recognition. And, sometimes folks think that we make it happen. We don't. We just call the people who have the expertise and ask them to assist where they can. And there are some challenges throughout the city, but I don't know of any complaints that we have not moved to address the issues when it was brought to our attention. So I also pass my thanks and congratulations on to staff for the way they've been meeting this challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
All right. Are there any matters discussed at work session that have to be considered?
No.
All All right, is there anyone, make sure, we got, John, you got one citizen who's signed to speak, not on the, on item 25, and then, yes, sir, and then we will entertain your motion, Mr. McDowell. John Holmes? John, please. Well, busing boxes. Good to see you. Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. As you know, I represent an organization called Homeless Help and Homeless of Columbia, a nonprofit 501c3. Our mission and our goal is to get rid of the negative stereotype of how the homeless are viewed and also how they act, and to present ourselves as respectable, responsible, productive citizens of this community and let them know that we're somebody and that we are employable. And we do that through a series of projects. In our latest projects, I had an impromptu meeting last week with the mayor, with our videographer, Coletta, and the thing that we're working on right now is called blessing boxes. I repeat that, it's called blessing boxes. This idea came about out of Ardmore, Oklahoma, Crystal Rock Cathedral. And what it is they set up these boxes throughout the certain areas in the city. And inside these boxes, the whole concept is take what you need and leave what you can. They have different shelves on them. Some of them have dry food items and canned good items. Other ones have toiletries. Okay? So anyway, our organization, Homeless Help and Homeless of Columbia, has decided to take it upon themselves to see what we can do as far as setting up a few of these boxes throughout the city of Columbia in nonprofit areas, churches, also some personal people's property. What we're asking of the city of Columbia, at no cost to the city, no cost, or very little anyway, is the possibility of having one or two of these boxes possibly set up somewhere downtown, okay? And the reason why is we're looking to put them in high-profile areas where they won't be vandalized and they won't be tampered with. One of our supporters and members of Homeless Help and Homeless is a member, she's part of the staff of Richland County Public One School District. She has already assured us that the high school and junior high school children will be working in the wood shop and building some of these boxes. So you see, it won't be no cost to the city in that area. Other members and supporters of HHH are seeing about, are looking into other nonprofits that are going to go ahead and donate some of the canned goods and dry goods, okay? This can be a win-win for everybody throughout the community, but we're specifically hoping and asking for the endorsement from City Council in the City of Columbia to see about one or two possible boxes being set up in a high-profile area, like somewhere on Main Street or maybe somewhere on Assembly down by the public library. That's roughly it. I'm open for questions if you have any. If not, thank you.
I enjoyed the idea when you shared it with me last week or week before last. I think it was last week.
Yes,
Time
sir.
kind of flies. Would you follow up with some written information with me as to what it all looks like and how it would work before you leave town? I know
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I definitely plan on staying in contact. And like I said, we had our weekly HHH meeting yesterday at Transitions.
Sure.
And we have some of our members, some that are homeless and some that were formerly homeless, and also our supporters. They are out there, well, not right now tonight, but they were out there and they will be out there every day looking for businesses and also sites that are willing to allow us to set up some of these boxes. We're going to do this on private property as long as it's within the zoning regulations.
Sure.
But we're asking City Council in the City of Columbia to possibly have one or two of these boxes downtown, and I will keep City Council updated, and we will monitor the situation.
Yeah, on the specifics would be very helpful. And John, thank you. I mean, told you it's been too long since we've seen you the last time. Your voice has always been incredibly valuable and important to this very important issue. So appreciate you. And I don't like losing you at Harrisburg. I can tell you that much. But a family is family. So
Yes, sir.
all right, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. McDowell.
I'm fine.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion?
I have some copies with my email on it if City Council.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot that here. So,
Motion by Mr. McDowell. To adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the previous question. The clerk call the roll.
Mr. Rickenmann?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you all.